All right, welcome to another episode of the Political Playbook. I'm Wyatt, and this is my co-host Aaron, and today we are talking about the Epstein Files, who hopefully at this point Trump has already signed for their release to the public. So the next step is that, the DOJ and the FBI have 15 days to basically submit a report to Congress, and Congress is going to approve or disapprove of the redactions. So sit tight. It's going to be a comfortable 2 weeks. I'm sure the DOJ is going to take the full 15 days, maybe longer. Just to recap really quick here, Darren, about how we got here. If you remember that statement that the DOJ and the FBI released in July, right? They basically said and I'm just paraphrasing here, there was no incriminating client list. There was no evidence of third parties. There was no blackmailing, right? And I'll show that email on screen right now. And that's an official statement from the Department of Justice and the FBI. And because of Thomas Massie and because of Ro Khanna, we are going to figure out if that's true or if they were full of shit. And it already shows that they are full of it because we already have multiple people already listed as a client according to Thomas Massie.
But when we get there, this is not a subpoena. This is a law.
And so you are confident that these documents will ultimately come out, even if the president tries to fight this?
Yes, I'm confident. And that we sort of, we know when they're out because we know what some of these lists, who some of the men are. I don't have the names in my head right now. The ultimate thing that we could do is read the names on the floor of the House, and that could happen. But what needs to happen is the FBI needs to release these names.
Is that something you might do if he resists this, if the DOJ releases this? Could you go to the floor and read these names?
We absolutely would do that. Marjorie would do that. I would do that. There are Democrats who would do that.
But dude, I love Thomas Massie. I mean, how can you not? He's just been tremendous on this whole deal. I mean, Ro Khanna is just kind of there to be like the Democrat in name only type of, thing to make it bipartisan. But Thomas Massie has just been on the vanguard of this whole thing. So props to him because now we're going to figure out what Kash Patel said he was lying about, what Pam Bondi said that they were lying about, and we'll get into them later. But let's hop into these emails really quick because I think that this is like the really juicy stuff. Now, I do want to be clear to our audience really quick, and then I'm going to pass it over to you. These emails were not released through the files. So these emails are not a part of the Jeffrey Epstein files collected by the DOJ and the FBI. These are subpoenaed through the House Oversight Committee. They basically got subpoenaed from the Jeffrey Epstein estate. So they were forced to hand it over to Congress. Congress voted to, or the Oversight Committee voted to release them to the public. It's like 20,000 emails, I think, and 2/3 of them include Trump. But these are the three most juicy ones. So Darren, if you want to take it away and talk about the dog that hasn't barked.
This one is between Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, and yeah, it's kind of hard to figure out. I mean, without full context, it's really kind of difficult to know exactly what's going down here. People are speculating that the victim, that's name is redacted, may be none other than Virginia Giuffre. But this would contradict statements Virginia Giuffre has made. So for as far as that goes, I'm not sure that we can conclusively say who the victim is. The dog that has yet to bark, or the dog that hasn't barked, at first upon first reading it, I'm like, okay, does this mean that Trump hasn't talked? Or does it mean that, or is it kind of like that old saying, if you throw a rock into a pack of dogs, the one that yelps is the one that was hit? Is that what he's talking about? I'm not quite sure what to make of that portion, like the dog that hasn't barked.
It's definitely, it's definitely coded language. And it's very, because this email is also from April of 2011, right? And We do have that clip from Mike Johnson a couple of ways back. We've played it on the podcast before.
He's not saying that what Epstein did is a hoax. It's a terrible, unspeakable evil. He believes that himself. When he first heard the rumor, he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. He was an FBI informant to try to take this stuff down. The president knows and has great sympathy for the women who have suffered these unspeakable harms. It's detestable to him. He and I have spoken about this as recently as 24 hours ago.
Which he later retracted. Like, he clarified that that's not what he meant to say. But, I mean, I think the idea is that, like, he ratted a little bit, right? So I don't think that this can mean, and now maybe this is before then. I don't know, but it's unclear to me. Like you said, without the context, we basically just have the Epstein email where he says that, and then we have the response, of course, from Ghislaine. So I'm not really sure what this means, but it is interesting, and I wish we could get a little bit more digging on this. And do you think that is Virginia Giuffre, the victim that is redacted in this email?
Truthfully, I don't know, because people have been saying that because the timeline kind of matches with the.
That's what I was saying. Yep.
Yeah, like I guess Virginia Giuffre, or however you pronounce her last name. I guess there was, things being revealed about her at the time, maybe even a court case. So around that time. So that's kind of like why people are speculating that. But I mean, according to Virginia herself, I mean, she had nothing really bad to say about Trump. So
right, she kind of cleared his name, right? Like, she said that Trump didn't do anything wrong. Is that not her?
yeah, that's her.
Right.
And I mean, I guess you can interpret that a number of ways. You could say, oh, maybe she was scared of him, and so she chose not to implicate him, or maybe they did spend hours at Epstein's house together, but nothing illicit went on. I mean, this email is awfully cryptic, though. I mean, I would imagine that whatever he's referring to is some pretty naughty behavior. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
definitely think so too. And it's very ominous. Like, it says Trump dot dot dot. Um, spent hours at my house with him dot dot dot. Like that's weird. And I understand it's 2011 and I'm sure our email language has changed since then, but like that is, like you said, cryptic is the exact right word I would use. Like, it's just odd, man.
yeah, in every email I've seen thus far, because we're going to go over three of them in this episode, but all of them are very like laconic. I guess you could say elliptical as well. I mean, it's like so much seems like it's being left out. Like, I mean, because just read it. I mean, I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Victim spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned. Police chief, etc. I'm 75% there. So I have no idea what that line, police chief, etc., means at all. I mean, I don't know what to make of that in the slightest. Does Jeffrey Epstein know a police chief? Was a police chief there on the island, or at his New York mansion? Also
You
spending
know,
out.
and this is me just speculating too, because a lot of people think that the dog that hasn't barked, I mean, I mentioned it earlier that maybe it was Trump hasn't ratted yet, but it also could be maybe Trump hasn't been caught, like you were saying, because it also says at the very end of the email that he's never once been mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
So I do find that I'm not saying that definitively. I'm just saying that this is very cryptic, and like you said, all of the emails are like this. Like, at this point, I've read too many of them. And this dude, first of all, this dude doesn't capitalize I's or the first letter of sentences. Like, it ticks me off. But like, even like the words themselves are just ominous and crazy.
It's so
It's like he knew exactly how much he had to hide, which is nuts.
definitely. It's like every email is kind of loaded with some plausible deniability. I mean, you
Yep.
can kind of read in the subtext, and you can kind of read in whatever you want to believe, but yeah. Very strange.
Now, I did want to mention this on this one too. So if this message or this email is to his wife, Ghislaine Maxwell. And so in this email, like Epstein confirms that like the victim spends hours at my house with Trump, right? And this is in 2011. But what was that? A couple of months ago, when Ghislaine was trying to get a pardon, a commutation, and like a lower prison sentence, she testified to the DOJ, to Trump's personal lawyer. And she said, I don't think that they were close friends, or I certainly never witnessed the president in any of, and then dot, dot, dot. I don't recall ever seeing him at my house, for instance, which is obviously not true as confirmed by this email. Now, maybe she didn't remember that, but I think it's far more likely, and I just want to get your take here. It's far more likely that she is just saying whatever she has to say to get her commutation or her pardon. And she is just willing to, lie under oath. None of this matters to her. She's just trying to save her own skin.
Oh yeah, certainly. I mean, she's getting all kinds of benefits at her minimum security prison. I've heard reports that she's getting more hours of like free time outside. She's getting she's even getting time to play with puppies or something. So
Yeah,
she's
she gets to do her workouts with puppies. Like it's almost like goat yoga. It's
yeah.
It's unbelievable. And she's the biggest thing for me, and I heard Ryan Grimm go on length about this, is she's actually being given access to electronic devices, such as like a cell phone, such as a computer, a laptop. I mean, this is kind of nuts, right? Like this is like this. Let's not make any mistake here. This woman was complicit in child sex trafficking of adults. I mean, this it can't get much worse than this woman, right? And just don't take that from me. That's according to the victims who were trafficked by her. So, no
Yeah.
angel, no angel here.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, honestly, I definitely foresee a pardon by the end of Trump's term for her. I think she's gonna.
December of 2028 cannot come fast enough for her. Let me tell you that. But I'm sure we'll get back to her, but I just wanted to go over that. Like this email disproves her testimony. And by the way, this is not the first time that she would have committed perjury. She's actually already committed perjury, I believe, twice already, and been found guilty. Like this woman will say whatever she feels like she has to.
Go to email too, and this is Jeffrey talking to Michael Wolf. So I mean, this one is pretty damning. This one basically just outright. I mean, you can read into it. I mean, it just basically says that Trump knew about
He knew.
Epstein's operation, and that he's lying about, or that Trump is lying about asking Epstein to disassociate with him. Is how I interpret it.
Yeah, I mean, so Trump, whenever he was getting asked this email is from January 31st of 2019. So it is 2 years into his presidency, basically on the nose, 2 years and like 20 something days. He is claiming, and this is when shit has hit the fan for Epstein, right? Like he's not even alive much longer, right? Like, so like, what does he make it? And he died in 20 or whatever, but he's not alive much longer. And, Trump is trying to make it out like, oh, I distanced myself from him a long time ago. He was a weirdo in like or the early 2000s. I kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. And Epstein is writing this email to his author, right? And he's like, I was never even a member at Mar-a-Lago. And then he even says, and this is the killer for me, he says, of course he knew. Of course he knew. And I can't help but believe that as true. You know what I mean? Like isn't it obvious to everyone? Isn't this like this is going to be like a Harvey Weinstein thing? If you remember, there were jokes about Harvey Weinstein's behavior with those actresses, and what we just found out is that nobody said a word. They were all complicit, and they all knew, and nobody said anything. And I think it's the same thing here, and I'm sure it's not just Trump. I'm sure it's thousands of people, honestly.
Oh yeah, I mean, it very well could be. No wonder they're going all manner of lengths to keep these things from coming out.
We'll get to that in a second. Like as soon as we're done with these emails, like that is our first docket item.
Back to one sentence though. He asked Jelaine to stop. To me, I interpret that as being like maybe Jelaine was bringing the girls around Mar-a-Lago, and he, especially during the if that was happening during the presidency, that would have been incredibly unoptical if they were caught. So I mean, that's probably what that was. But I mean, you kind of have to think that these girls would just have to be underage, or at least at a very inappropriate age, because otherwise, why even mention it? Because if they were all of legal age, I mean, this email wouldn't have even been sent. If, knowing about the girls, well, that kind of implies that he knows something is wrong.
Well, they could be adults and they could just be still trafficked. Does that make sense? So I'm
That
not
is a good point.
I'm not saying that that's right because, like I said, there's an entire full sentence redacted in this email as I'm showing on screen, and I think this victim, I think this one is likely Virginia Giuffre because I think that this is the one because she got poached from Mar-a-Lago. So Ghislaine would come to Mar-a-Lago and she would steal a bunch of the younger girls or the teenagers working on the course, and she would traffic them to the island or to wherever, right? And Virginia Giuffre is one of them. So that one could literally be this one.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, that probably is what was happening. Jelaine was going over there and
I,
taking and poaching the girls
right.
rather
Well,
than bringing girls around to.
well, I
Okay.
do I do remember that was Trump's explanation. Is Trump was like she was coming over there and grabbing girls, and like one of the reporters even asked him on Air Force One, like, is one of those girls Virginia Giuffre? And Trump says, I believe it was. Yeah. So that could be this email. We're not, like I said, we're not officially sure, but all signs seem to be pointing in that direction. So, not that it's relevant. If it was another victim, then it would be just as bad, obviously. Well,
If you
what does it mean that like we have a president who was at least seemed a little bit like he knew and he didn't feel the need to make that public to the American people. And it kind of makes you wonder why. So why do you think that is? And we'll go into this a lot more in detail later, but I just want to get like your headline here.
Probably just because it would look terrible on him. I don't think there's much upside for him at this point, being that he's a known associate of Epstein for you know, well over a decade, decades at this point, because they hung out in the 90s. Yeah, I mean, I just think it was so unoptical. It was something that just had zero upside. So I think his calculation was like he's just not going to bring it up
Mm-hmm.
because he wants to win re-election and in 20. So
Moving on to the third one, if you would like. So I'll give the context for this one. So this one is in 2015 to Michael Wolff as well. He's basically just giving Epstein a heads up. So Trump is about to go on CNN for that infamous debate. Epstein and Michael Wolff are concerned that, like, okay, CNN is going to ask about you to Trump on air. And Epstein says, okay, if I were going to craft an answer for him, what do you think it should be? Michael Wolff says, I think you should let him hang himself. If he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the house, and that gives you valuable PR and political currency, you can hang him in a way that potentially generates a positive benefit for you. Or if he really looks like he could win, you could save him generating a debt. It is crazy to me that they were commenting about this. Like that's what does this tell you? Because like, what is your gut reaction here?
gut reaction, it means they were obviously engaged in some illicit activity, but it also just kind of shows the kind of dude that Epstein is. I mean, he has no qualms about blackmailing people. He's he's conspiring with Michael Wolff right now to hold something over Trump's head. And I mean, this was written in December of 2015. He could have been holding stuff over Trump's head. He very well may have been.
Yeah, absolutely. And the part for me is, when Michael Wolff is replying, he says something like, if Trump claims that you haven't been on the plane or over to the house, he's like, dude, that's valuable. Like, that's currency, is the words that they use. And that tells me that, Epstein, like, is more than willing to blackmail the what would be the future president of the United States. And he likely did. And
Oh
he
yeah.
it just kind of makes Trump's actions a lot more understandable here because, Trump is hiding something. What that is, I don't know. Whether it's, I mean, I'm not even saying like it's as bad as like what these lefties on Twitter think. Like, it could just be like he hired a prostitute or anything like that, which would be embarrassing, but it's not like criminal wrongdoing. You know what I mean? But I think that this email just kind of shows that there was something that we could use, right? But
Mm-hmm.
especially if he hangs himself, because it is totally possible that Trump. Now, luckily, this question never got asked. That's a part that people keep mentioning as if it's relevant. I don't find that relevant at all. Like, you know, it's the fact that these people were planning to conspire against what would be the president of the United States. It's nuts.
Oh yeah, it's just insane. This Michael Wolff character is just a really sleazy guy. He's the guy that wrote that Fire and Fury book, and Trump like let him. This was back when they were on good terms before the book was published. Michael Wolff basically had free access to the White House. He would just sit there all day and like observe Trump and like write his book. After it was published, it was not very favorable towards Trump, and Trump got rid of him. It was early in his first term. I think it's part of the reason Steve Bannon was let go.
Well, it's actually funny
Yeah.
you mentioned him. They were emailing him too.
Oh
Isn't that
yeah. Oh yeah. He's
isn't that
part of
nuts?
this as well.
Well, let me ask you this, Darren. Uh, so some innocent normie listens to this podcast and he says, "That's it. That's all you got." What do you say to that? Are these emails a big deal, or are they really getting overblown?
I think they're a huge deal. I mean, it doesn't take like, I mean, it's not something you have to decode that much. I mean, it's basically all implied right here that they're engaged in some kind of illicit activity, and it's bad enough that they think they could really blackmail him with it. So, it's not just some embarrassing photo where he's doing something silly. This is probably some really serious stuff. Uh, how far does it go? I don't know. I think it's completely within the realm of possibility that, Trump maybe had sex with a woman just slightly underage, like 17 or 16. I don't think Trump was out here like having sex with like 8-year-olds or anything, but yeah, I mean,
Well, yeah.
I think that's why it's a huge deal.
Way to have the Megyn Kelly justification.
Well, not
Well, way to
not
have.
justifying it,
Well,
just trying to.
he wasn't a pedophile. He was a hebephile, technically. Wyatt, Jesus, he's not a monster. Like the fuck is wrong with you? Like,
But
yeah,
what say you? Are you in agreement that that's what makes this significant, or do you have a slightly different take?
no, I completely agree. I think that these emails, these three, and then a couple of the emails that are not listed here kind of hint at this too. But basically, I take away three things: is that A, Trump had something to hide, right? That's why they have political currency. That's why they have all of this stuff, right? That's mentioned in these emails. And then B is Virginia, or not Virginia Giuffre. Ghislaine Maxwell will say whatever she has to in order to get out of this. So she is not the most trustworthy source on anything. at this point. Because she's already, like, we've already caught her lying at this point. I'm not even exaggerating, like 7, 8 times. It's nuts. And then the third and the most important thing, and this is what makes it important, he knew. Like that alone should have been obvious to anyone who has been following this closely at all. It should have been disqualifying. The Epstein issue was like right wing coded for a long time, despite Trump's closeness to Epstein. And if he is proven to like be extremely close, and like if it comes out like confirmed that he knew, I could see this ending like his far right crazy coalition. Now they're not going to flip to Democrats for obvious reasons, but like this is a definite like threat to his cult coalition for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean it really could. I think it does have the potential to spell the end for his presidency, because if what gets released is like earth-shatteringly bad, I don't think it will be, because I think they'll find like a way out of it. But if it is like really really bad,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously he's going to get wiped out in the midterms. I think he'll likely get impeached again. I don't know that he'll like be forced to resign or, convicted of anything, but I do think he'll have to go through that impeachment process again. I
Right.
think once the House is locked down, he's just not going to be able to do anything. So, yeah, he's going to basically have nothing by 2026. We'll see, though. I mean,
Yeah, there are some arguing that he's already a lame duck and that like the last meaningful legislation he's going to pass was the big beautiful bill, which I mean that's just sad for the rest of the country, to be completely honest with you, because if you're somebody who thinks that there are problems in this country and you think that there are problems that the government can help solve, that is a bad sign that we have a 3 year lame duck, you know?
oh
So,
yeah, it was
and that's
basically
from all sides, honestly. Like, yeah, that's not even that's fairly bipartisan, honestly.
oh yeah, because basically we're just going to be languishing for 3 years. He's just going to be sitting in there doing nothing because he can't do anything, and then
Yeah.
no progress is going to be made on like any front.
Oh, 100%. Now let's talk about the release of the files. All right, we had our fun with the email. Let's wrap back here. So Massey obviously gets this force fed through Congress, and not because of Trump, but in spite of Trump. I want to make that very clear. You might have some normies in your family that are like, "Well, Trump signed it and Trump supported it." And this one kind of hurts me a little bit. I mean, I don't really care, but it's just like, damn, that kind of sucks because the informed voter is like the only person that's going to know that the president, the Department of Justice, the FBI, the vice president, the Speaker of the House, and the majority leader in the Senate fought tooth and fucking nail to keep this from getting released. And they only caved when they realized it was going to become like a political weakness problem. But, hey, better late than never, right? But
Oh yeah, I'm glad it's getting released, and finally, when Trump gave the go ahead because he realized it was inevitable, it got a unanimous vote. Or I think maybe
one House
one guy.
member, one House Republican voted nay. But yeah,
Can you
that
imagine?
that poor fuck didn't read his email.
For real.
He was the first guy to vote and the last person to fucking sit down. He was like, "No." But um so basically the FBI and the DOJ, they have what is called redaction. So redaction is the process where the government censors or they obscure portions of a text, right? Mostly they do this for security, anonymity reasons, stuff like that. Um, that will be done here, and I don't like. What are your expectations for like how much they try to redact this thing? Because my imagination says that there's no chance that if there is anything even remotely possible to be embarrassing for Trump, that it's going to see the public eye. Why would they?
Oh yeah, I'm in total agreement. I mean, because Cash Patel's leading the FBI, so and he's a total like crony sycophant. So there's no way that anything too damaging for Trump gets out. Uh, I think they might let stuff that's damaging to Democrats get out. Uh, and then maybe some foreign leaders. I bet Trump will help out his buddy Mohammed bin Salman uh, and redact anything related to him. So,
Oh, for
and maybe
sure.
some few others. So I think if you're in the good graces of Trump, you're probably going to be fine. But if I was like Bill Clinton, I'd be worrying because I doubt they're going to do him any favors. We'll see though. I mean, we'll
Right.
see how much they redact. Maybe when it's all said and done, we'll get the files and it'll just be block after block of black and just a few sentences visible every page.
Well, it's super funny because whenever they released, if you remember that phase one of the Epstein files, it was basically that. It was completely black. Like there was like 70 something pages in a row that were just completely black, 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 black. It was just
Yeah.
like, what are we doing? You know? Um, I do want to highlight though, because the bill does say, um, the bill prohibits withholding or redacting based on, quote, embarrassment, reputational harm, or political sensitivity to any official or public figure. So, with that definition, that's going to hold them pretty tight. But honestly, it really just comes down to, is Mike Johnson going to hold the Trump administration's feet to the fire? And my gut says, no, he will not, because he likes his job. So,
Oh yeah.
it makes no sense. Or I mean, I don't know. Like it is, if we see these Epstein files come out without Trump's name, how can we trust it? Or like, and that's why I'm glad Thomas Massey, while he was fighting for this bill, he mentioned the name of one of the alleged clients too. And so he made that very clear, and he said, if he's not in the files, then I know the files are beyond redacted. So
Ooh.
very
So
interesting.
yeah, I'm glad we have a real warrior in there that's fighting for this because I mean, I'm like the rest of the American people. I want to know. Uh, I want to know who's all in it. Uh, it's definitely going to be a bunch of people from both sides of the aisle, from what it sounds like. So,
Yeah, and
yeah.
does that bother you? I already know the answer, but does that freak you out?
Uh, no, I mean,
Yeah, I
the
don't care
fact that
either.
yeah, I'm not particularly attached to Trump right now. I mean, this whole administration has been a big disappointment. I thought his comeback was impressive, but I mean, beyond that, I don't see a ton of value in him. So if he gets totally screwed for this, I mean, I'm totally fine with that.
I just
Uh,
think that it's crazy that this is going to be what eventually, I in my guess, this could be what eventually takes him down. And it's like, are you kidding me? Like, the man has lived through, so first of all, it's absurd that he rose as fast as he did after January 6th, and Biden didn't make that any difficult for him at all. Like, it was pretty easy, but he burned through his political mojo in, we're not even a year in, and people are already, there's already cracks in the coalition. Like, this is the first time that I can really remember in a while where Trump lost like elected Republicans. Like,
oh
I,
yeah.
I can't think of another time this year where he's lost that fight. So,
Yeah, this is new for him because I mean, he even, if you recall, like one of their last ditch efforts to keep this from getting passed, they brought Lauren Boebert into the situation room, and like I think like all the top level officials were there. I think uh, Cash Patel was there. I think Pam
Bondi,
Bondi was.
yep.
Yeah, And even after, I'm sure she got a stern talking to, or at least they were begging her. I don't know what tactics they were using, but at the end of the day, she didn't cave. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I
well,
think people.
forget they lost Marjorie Taylor Greene, like Mrs. Jewish Space Laser herself said
Yeah.
said no, 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 no. The covering up for the pedophiles is too much for me. And I'm like, and she's nuts. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of her, but like, my goodness, I cannot believe she stood up to him over this. I was just blown away.
Yeah, she used to be a total lackey, and she has kind of like a history of like capitulation.
Hmm.
She even capitulated to Kevin McCarthy back when she wanted some more committee assignments. So she's totally willing to uh, go with the wind. But I mean, maybe that kind of tells you a lot about her. The fact that she kind of goes with the wind. I maybe she senses that the winds are changing, and now it's time to rebrand as being a Israel critical, America firster, Trump critical type because she, like a weather vane, she kind of knows his time is up. So.
Yeah, I think the GOP as a whole is fixing to start preparing for a post-Trump GOP, which I wonder if that will hurt Vance or if that will help Vance. Because if he can help shape what that looks like, I think it'll help him. But if he has to be in opposition to that, then that's going to be tough. You know what I mean? Like if he chooses Trump over the post, like the McCarthys and the sorry, not the McCarthys, the Mike Johnsons and the Marjorie Taylor Greens, then he's gonna lose.
Yeah, I don't think Vance's prospects are very good, to be honest. I would not want to be in his position because he's going to be totally tainted with all this, and and honestly, Trump's coattails were the only thing he had going for him because he's kind of like this totally astroturfed guy. He got to be in the Senate basically because of all that Peter Thiel money.
Right.
I don't think that he has a lick of talent in him. So, well, maybe that's too harsh. He's very good at telling you what you want to hear, I guess. But uh, yeah, I don't think he has the political talent to be president. So,
Yeah, and let's stay on that for a second with Trump. So Trump made the decision that he was going to do anything and everything to oppose the release of these files, right? And now that he saw that he doesn't have the votes and he's going to risk losing his own coalition, he decided, okay, what looks weaker if I lose my own base and my own party, or if I just give them permission to pass it and an endorsement, and then I just try to redact that way. It's like, huh, it's kind of an easy question for Trump. I just want to know what you make of that. Because this is not a sincere endorsement. Because Trump has the ability to release the files like right now, like PDF, put it out there, go to fbi.gov/Epstein files, right? But he hasn't done that. He's waiting the full 15 days, and so that just to me tells me that he's not sincere, you know. And it's not because the FBI hasn't been redacting. I'll tell you that right now.
oh yeah, I think he wouldn't have endorsed it uh, in the way he did if he really thought there wasn't a way to get out of it. All the redactions he's gonna make are gonna totally save his butt. I don't know how much others will get away with it, but yeah, I don't know. I really doubt we get anything way too damning on him. Um, but what say, right? I mean,
Well, I mean, obviously he doesn't want anything to come out, so he's going to prolong it. We should expect that. I don't, and like I said, I'm sure it's, if I'm being totally charitable here, which on this one I will choose to be, he is, it's probably just to save him the embarrassment. Like he doesn't want to be looked upon like he doesn't want to be looked upon and people take a leap that isn't there, which I'm sure is possible. And I'm sure there's people all around him telling him that this is plutonium. Like any connection to you and Epstein is going to just ruin you. Because honestly, those people might have a good idea of what these people, like his supporters, think like because they're psychotic. Um,
Oh
I
yeah,
do, I,
definitely.
I do think that it's going to be crazy once we get these files because I'm going to quote. Like I know I did this earlier, but I'm going to quote again the statement from the DOJ and the FBI. They said the systemic review revealed, quote, no incriminating client list, no credible evidence found that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals as part of his actions. And then they also said, and this is important, that we did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against third parties. Well, they're opening investigations now. So, like, what changed?
Yeah.
Like they're opening because at first they said, yeah, we consider the matter closed. There's really nothing to look into here. Goodbye, everybody. Um, and then they're like, oh, yeah, by the way, we have to investigate Bill Clinton. And I'm like, yeah, nice try there, dick face.
Oh yeah, it's just lie after lie. And it's one of these things. Unless they're just totally forced to do something, they're not gonna do it. So
Right.
it's really all of a matter of how much can like Congress even force them to do.
Well, I mean,
Because
worst case, we'll just have the oversight committee release it. If it goes to that, they'll just unredact it and release it themselves. Or, I mean, the Democrats are probably going to win the House and the Senate, or at least the House in 2026. They'll just subpoena and have you testify before Congress. Like
oh
what
yeah,
else? What else are they going to do for 2 years? You know?
oh yeah, yeah. I mean it. Yeah, there. I think, in fact, even though it was such a right wing coded thing, I think the Democrats are definitely gonna totally take this up, and since they're actually competent, maybe some more will get out.
Yeah, actually, you mentioned that on the first podcast we did about this now that the Democrats are looking into this. So, like, on the right, the people talking about the Epstein case were like, Joe Rogan, Alex Jones, maybe like Ben Shapiro would mention it, although now he doesn't want to because of the connections to, what's his name? Ehud Barak, right?
Oh yeah.
Which we won't talk about because we don't want to get canceled. But on the left, we have like the national security correspondent for the New York Times looking into this. Like you know what I mean? Like it's just a slightly different animal that we have going on. Like the left was able to find shit like the birthday card, um, all these old pictures, all these old notes, all these everything, all these old quotes. I mean, it's kind of unbelievable what all has come out since it's become like an opposition issue for the Democrats.
Yeah, slightly different caliber of people.
Right, which is just
Yeah.
nuts. But